You want to do one? Show us. You do a set.
I do the same thing you do, Jim.
Yeah, just throw one in.
You caused that years and years ago. Look, Dave, see these pictures? They're all the left front foot. And I thought, I never paid attention to that. Something at a demo like this, or we were at a fur auction when you told me that. I want that separation. One thing that I learned, and I think it's important, that's your tractor, your hole in your tractor. And there's a separation of natural ground,
Piece of firm ground right there.
between a tractor and that. Because when I used to, and I was trying real hard with what we had here to keep that. And maybe that goes to what that guy was doing over here. I trapped a farm one time and I had these coyotes roll in. And every one of them started back here and started digging. They dug that trap up and threw it off to the side. And went down there. And I laid awake and lost sleep over it. It bugged me so much. And I kept saying, I gotta separate that attractor, that hole, that bait that they want, the place they want to dig, from this. I don't want any hard lines out there. That's the attractor. And my thought is when he comes in here and he's going to stand up here and look before he commits. And when he does that, I got him. Now, I got pictures at the house. I had this backing back here, kind of guiding him. You know, I had this dumb stuff going on, and it froze. And I tracked this coyote. He comes right in here. He steps right up here. He looks down that hole, both feet. Yeah. It's in the snow, right on top of the guide. What the hell did I put the guide in there for? Yeah. That guide was supposed to deter him. And what's he do? He stands right up here and puts his nose in it. Takes off that way. Now I had his buddy caught over here. But him, I learned more out of that son of a bitch than I did from the others. But I want that. And Jim uses a big tile spade, and my stuff is a lot more narrow. Where's his hammer at? My rock hammer is a rock hammer, and it's got a tang on it out here. I like them as long as they can be, because I start 2 tangs, and that's how wide I go. And part of what I think is the backing, this is not, I don't care about that for a backing. I want that in a cornfield, because in a bean field you can see everywhere, just like this lawn. If we get up there in that mowed strip right there, what's he going to see? He's going down through there. And that's where I ask the question of eye appeal. How important is that? Sometimes he's going through there and he's got other stuff on his mind. Yep. There's other coyotes over there that sounded off. He's running from spotlighters back here. He's going through there. And if I got it at the right location where he'll stall out, he'll go up over there and creep at top of that hill. He's going to stand there and look. And if I got something that'll get his eye, something that'll get his nose, I got a chance. Well, is that cone? It'll blacken up. It's disturbed earth. He's going to see that and say, what's going on here? That's my thought process. And that's where and how I do it. And why I do what I do. What is that? 3 inches? That ain't the width of a 2x4. Oh, it's less than 3.5.
Tape measure right there, Dave.
3 inches. That's what I want. I want to see that on all my sets that I'd make as a dirt hole. If I'm going to put stuff in there, I'm using basically the same stuff. I will use castor. That's my favorite. I'm not a fan of skunk. I'll use it, but I'm not a fan of it. I think it is important. Good urine. And I'm not in Ohio. The best bait that I ever found is muskrat. When you take that muskrat carcass out, it's worth more now than the hide. I do the same thing. I got a block of wood outside my shop. Every muskrat carcass goes out there, gets chopped, put in a peanut butter jar. And I'll put a gob that big around in that hole. I pack it in there. I want him, you know.
They can't resist it.
It can't resist it.
It's their nature. They gotta eat it.
If I got good urine that I've killed a coyote or something, and I get the urine out of it, a couple drops of that in there. Some people dismiss it. It's what I've come to do.
Where do you primarily trap at?
Ohio. I've never trapped out of state, ever. I'm all Ohio. All Ohio.
Mark, why don't you put one in and see
Yep.
what's set?
Here.
He pretty much only knew 2 fox sets, a trail set and what he called a mole run set, where they dug a mole run out, which is very similar to, I started calling it a trench set, but it's a elongated set like you guys are making here. Of course, he never had coyotes when he trapped, but only he made them. Hell, I'll make them know. He had his very narrow. He used a Maddox to dig them, and he always tried to find like a grass clump is where he'd always start them out from. He would, or place a rock. He liked grass clumps, and that's what I always got to doing. And sometimes I'd try to find where there was 2 grass clumps. I'd dig one between both of them, or just dig one out, safe from one, and then put a runner off to each side, where if they'd maybe dug a run out this way, mole run out that way. But he always kept them real narrow and real deep. Of course, again, he was just making them for fox, but I got to playing with them, and I still kept them narrow and deep. But with coyotes, you had to move the trap back.
Got a question for all of you real quick. Between fox and coyote, is there a difference how far out you guys would set the length from the hole to the trap?
It's a little smaller animal, so.
Okay. Answers my question.
What is?
I used to be a fox trapper before the 90s, and I was just constantly changing.
Yeah. Now with
From fox to coyote, didn't you, Mark?
yeah, with
Foxes.
yeah, and this mole run set was just absolutely deadly on grays, because he would about 4 inches deep. Is what he'd dig the trench. What I got to digging them.
He's setting 1.5.
1.5 coils, and
You want a 1.5 coil?
you got one?
Yeah.
Yeah, he 1.5 coils. And he'd take a stake, run a hole up inside that underneath that grass clump. Work it out good.
Don't have a lot of pay attention, so be careful.
And he'd set it tight right up against that backing. And he would dig out from underneath the edge of that sod. This is wider than what he would normally have them. But he would dig this edge out under the sod.
You should be okay.
Got a lot of wax on it.
Yeah. But he would get them underneath that edge. Like I said, this is wider than he would normally get them. He'd want about almost a third on each side underneath that cutout edge. Keep it tight. Put it right up as close to that hole as you could, and he always would put them in this way. I got to where I was putting them in this way.
See that? That's a 450. I ain't never seen one yet. I've seen him let him play with it.
But he would put them in this way, and then bury the stake in the chain out here, and he would basically slope that down to where they would just step right down in there.
Good looking fox. Similar to that Phil Brown. I watched him do
Yeah,
that down.
yeah, I've seen Phil do one like this, and
Do that at the
Yeah.
speed demo.
now, and that was great for reds and grays, and I caught a few coyotes in it. But as you know, as we all had to phase out of fox to coyotes, I thought, okay, I got to do this differently. So I dig this much further back. And of course, by that time, I ain't using 1.5 coils anymore.
I was surprised at the guys that was using this trap at Mink Fest talking about catching coyotes in it and being happy with it.
Yeah.
I caught a bunch of times in the morning. I have to remember.
Oh yeah. All them things will hold a bear. But I'd work this on back.
But he was doing a step down before most people knew anything about a step down.
Yeah. Yeah, because when I started, the first time I saw Pete and Ron Leggett do that step down demo, I said something to Pete and Ron about what my grandfather had showed me, and Pete just kind of winked at me. So I think that may have been somewhere where Pete got the idea too.
You get to talk to him at the convention?
Yeah. But I just, basically the same thing. I had to start making them wider because of the bigger traps, but I'd still kind of keep that undercut edge.
Really doing it like that, you don't even have to bed the trap.
Right.
No.
There's no standing on the side.
That was one of the comments Carmen said in his book. He said, I don't bed traps, I put them in the slot. And he was talking just like Mark.
Because there's nowhere else to
Undercut that
stand. So you don't
Yeah.
have to even bed the trap.
No.
They're coming in heavy with. They're not light stepping.
Yeah, they ain't. And then get that in, I'm coming back 8-9 inches. And then the same like I showed there earlier, then I'm sloping the dirt in. And So like you guys already figured out, when he's coming in there, he's right there in it. As soon as he comes off that slope, that's where he's planting his foot. And I've made him that way ever since when I make him, because it's not a coyote set, it ain't a fox set anymore. But boy, when I used them up front for fox, man, they was deadly. I caught the shit out of fox in those things. And I made more of those than I did dirt holes for fox.
You still put a hole over something in here?
Yeah, I took that
I use a poke.
and used a,
It wasn't on 45 either.
it's just straight right at the bottom of the sod. Just go clear up underneath that and woggle it out good. And he liked, cause he trapped moles, so he'd keep the moles. He'd use moles, he'd stuff a mole up in there, part of a mole, or a mouse. He'd stuff part of a mouse up in there. And he would take some dry grass. Well, we ain't got nothing, well. He would take some shreds of dry grass, and just outside of that hole, put them little pieces there, so it looked like a mouse or something had been crawling in and out of there, chewing on stuff. And that was literally right at the edge of the jaw, because, like I said, we had it clear up here. And I think that helped too. He wasn't big on any kind of commercial lures. He made lure with some whatever he caught out of his fox glands, mink glands, beaver glands, whatever. I don't know if he.
All the animal, all of it together.
He had one he made had a little bit of everything in it, which is a good catch-all lure. You guys know that. But he'd also keep some separate. But for this, he just used, like I said, a mouse or shrew. I've seen him use shrews, moles.
Does anybody actually use any of those store-bought lures they make? Because I know there's like 1,000 lures.
Oh, everybody does. Yeah.
What's your take, and this goes to the whole group, of fresh bait or fresh gland?
Well, I
versus
didn't
a
mention that. When I said I use them whole sets exclusively with bait, they all got gland lure on. I forgot to mention that. So that's the one thing I do, and I use a pretty good glob of it.
Yeah.
Smear it on top of the hole, and basically read that from a woman's book too.
Yeah.
No, do you use gland lure like the whole season long, or just for the breeding season? Or
I just use it at all my big bait sets. I put a gland lure on top of the hole.
I found something out strange about gland lures. Mink are extremely attracted to red fox gland.
Yes, sir, buddy. You ain't lying.
I would have thought they would have feared it. I think they're more attracted to that than they are to their own mink musk.
Deer come to coyote urine.
Yeah.
It's the urine, I think, in some of that red fox gland.
Yeah.
I've seen too many times where something will piss in the snow, up to and including myself and the mink.
Yeah.
Knows right to it.
Yeah.
They're interested. They're animals.
Well,
they have an interest.
A biologist told me that the difference between your piss and a coyote's piss is seconds. that within seconds,
Yeah.
your pheromones and that coyote's pheromones or raccoon's pheromones are gone.
Mammals are 97%
It's piss.
genetically.
That's why in your deer estrus urine is basically a scam.
It's somebody made millions of dollars off of that shit.
The estrus don't stay in.
It's gone. Yeah, it's gone within minutes or seconds.
How
synthetic
volatile is
stuff.
urine? How long does it last at a set? If you put urine on a set today, when do you put urine on it again?
5-6 days.
Yeah, that's.
I think it's.
Even if I've had a weather event, I still leave it about the same. Yeah, I don't think. I mean, if it poured buckets for a day or two, okay, yeah. But just an average rain or a snowfall, yeah, I would leave it the same, because you know, we can't smell it.
Right.
But the critters can.
As far as the bait that you guys put down in there, how long will you guys leave that in there too? Like,
The whole bait ain't going to go bad. So you got the volume, like he said, a muskrat. That's good for the whole till something gets it. And something will get it.
Yeah.
Eventually, it'll go because something ate it.
Yeah.
I'll say this. You put bait in that hole and you think, okay, I haven't caught anything. My bait's still there. There, I have had crows that fly around and they search out circles. I watch them. I see them. When I pull into a farm, I see the crows there and they get down and they get in that hole. They're not stupid. They eat it.
Yeah.
Behind my house, it's uplands. And I go in there one day and I'm checking my sets and there's all these birds, cardinals and little brown birds. And I'm watching and this cardinal goes right down in the dirt hole and pulls out pieces of fat off of the bait they're eating.
Yeah.
So that happens. That happens. Now I tell when if I give demos or I got the kids there at the house, you dig that hole plenty deep.
Yeah.
Okay? You dig that hole plenty deep.
So things can't get it so
Yes.
easy.
That's
Yeah.
why-
It's the
that's
whole
why I like
idea.
the drill, because you can make it's easier to make that in the ground like this.
Yeah.
It's easier to make that
Yep.
dirt hole go that deep, because when you've got that, when you're only like that deep,
It don't work.
I've never
That don't
put a
work.
hole in that deep, at least a foot.
It has to be that far up against that 12 inches.
if they could just
so like a foot,
Yeah.
16 inches or
Yeah.
more at least.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
there's no theory up.
Kind of the same thing you went over with the holes down there.
Yeah. Yeah. As them pocket sets, get them as deep as you can.
Eventually, you get below the frost line and nothing can freeze.
Exactly.
So you can't be too deep.
That's what I keep thinking is it's just gonna, if you don't get it deep enough, it's just gonna freeze. It ain't gonna be worth anything.
No, it's like that. We talked about that frustration factor. If he can't get it, he's got to work at it more.
That's right.
So he can
Yeah.
work
He,
it more.
yeah. He may not be totally committed being around there, but if it's that deep and he wants that, he's going to get committed.
Yeah, it's just kind of a set that, I mean, it's kind of an older set, but said this is kind of more of a kind of a specialty set that, because I'm not setting all my coyote sets at once.
Here, put that on.
Actually, I'm not running all my coyote traps, but I got spots where, like, and especially in the middle of winter time when there's not a lot of food going on, because I end up trapping a lot of my coyotes in January, February when it sucks, and everything. And coyotes start. Hopefully, there's still some coyotes left, but I'll just dig a big old hole. And this is, like I said, this is a great beginner set. I said, because most beginners, they got more traps than they're gonna set, or at least. So what I'll do, I'll dig a. Yeah, that's it. And I don't trap a lot of coyote, maybe because we don't have that. Farmer comes, I'll come in, but there's too many wild dogs running around and people with dogs. But I'll take the big hole, and if I get a rabbit or beaver season, I got a bunch of beaver. I'll dig a hole as deep as I can, and I'll put a whole rabbit, half a rabbit, muskrat, beaver, whatever, put that in the hole. And then of course, very late, obviously Ohio, so we gotta cover that back up. And then basically do what I call a compass set. I'll have trap here, trap here, trap here, trap here. Coyote come in or anything else, you gotta be all over that trying to dig that shit out. And I'll take, and just to help a little smell, I'll take a rod. I always kind of poke a hole just to help get that smell out. But it's January, and then I run all these traps on drags because you got possums, raccoons, whatever. So you get that first animal caught, he's off in the bush somewhere else. He's coyote. He might be 50 yards away, depending on. My drags are pretty good. I use the J.C. Connor drags or the saber-tooth drags, but my traps, I said, there's nothing fancy. I just bed the trap.
You have a lot of multiples?
I have, like I said, like in January, February, usually just if there's multiple, you got a pair running around, or sometimes you still get a pup that's just running around. But it's a good way to catch multiples. But like I said, I haven't run this shed a whole lot in the summertime this year. Here, I'll run this stuff. I mean. Like I said, like everyone else, I like to dig that big hole because, like I said, I like a big void. Kind of like I like a void, because I never want anything when I make my traps. I don't want any part of this bottom of the trap touching anything. So I'm gonna.
Is that to keep it from freezing down?
Well, keep it freezing down, and anything that touches this, it's gonna cause your trap to wobble. So, like I said, I like a big void under there, and then I said I can get my chain in there, but then, or if you dig your hole right, the way I dig my hole, you can basically, when you push this letter down, it's just jamming that other jaw of the trap in there. So, really, if you dig your hole right, that trap is solid without even having to do anything with it. And then I'll just take these clumps, I'll just kind of fill these voids up, and then go in and shift dirt back over top of it. But the same thing, I said, I'm running. Of course, in wintertime, I'm almost pretty much all using peat moss over these traps. So I don't. It's just a whole lot easier on me. And then usually, like when I'm doing these very bait sets, I'll kind of go in and I'll just kind of rough all this ground up, kind of all around the set, just to kind of just help make it look like basically a bomb blew off. But that's just kind of, I said, it's just an easy set for people to put in, because said you get that foot movement. That's what all these sets is. The more foot movement you can get around the set, the better. And even if you get like a big hole bait, you just take a snare cable, or just get one of these drivers and stake your bait down and do that. So when that coyote digs that bait up and he can't yank that out, he's got to fight and fight. So he's got to be dancing around these sets to help get him caught. But I said, I like that set. It's kind of very beginner friendly, because you really don't have to worry about where your trap placement is. Like I said, because they're just gonna be all around. And then you put on drag. If that possum comes by, he's out of the way. And then, like I said, you got 3 other traps sitting here, so you still got extra opportunity for. And of course, you get deer. I mean, the set, there's no smell. I don't always put. Sometimes I'll put lure, but it's usually just the bait, and you still get deer, just random deer. Everything checks out the fresh dirt. That's why I tell guys, I always laugh at guys' food plots. If you're trapping around agriculture and they just dished up or mowed the field just before, that's your best food plot. The deer, they're just coming in. They see this little spot and that fresh grass. They just love eating that fresh grass in the winter time.